Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, the host of The Wow Within. And today we're continuing to tell my story. The reason why this show is so important to me, to be able to highlight other people's stories from where they were to where they are today. And that wow factor of all of the things that someone has overcome to be the person that they are today, myself included. So, in the first two segments, I talked a little bit about my childhood and getting through pretty much my 20s. And you know, once I hit my 30s, I thought that I was in a good place. I was convinced that I was making big changes in my life and I was healing and I was growing, and in hindsight, I was, but I think it was my 30s that kind of taught me the most about who I am and the type of person that I wanted to be and what who I want to be. I was still a people pleaser in my 30s. I still wanted to be like, hey, look at me, look at all the things. I have this amazing family that I married into. My husband is incredible and handsome, and I have these beautiful children, and all of these things. I live in this beautiful area. I'm no longer living in the city and living in poverty. I've actually made something for myself, and all of those things are true. I do not deny any of them. I am 100% grateful for the life that I have created, and all of the things that I have gone through. And I don't know what it would have looked like if anything else fell differently in my 30s. You know, my husband was very supportive of all of the things that I did and all of the things that I went through while I was pregnant with my daughter. I was diagnosed with a heart condition. I thought we were going to lose her or myself. And it was very, very scary. I was 7 months pregnant, and I got diagnosed with pericarditis. I had a tear around the lining of my heart, and I was told that it probably wouldn't happen again, that it was a freak accident. And truth be told, I spent over a decade reliving that nightmare over and over again, seeing multiple doctors, dealing with a heart condition that just came out of nowhere. The year before I had my daughter, I ran the Boston Marathon for the first time. And then to be told after she was born that I'm probably never going to run long distance ever again. And I mean, in pure honesty, I really didn't care about running long distance. I cared about being alive to take care of my children. And, it was really difficult. And it's funny because I'm looking at all the things behind me, and you can kind of see it over there in the corner. Uh, I spent my 30s running a lot of Spartan races, running a lot of mini races, and doing obstacle courses because they were things that I could get my heart rate up and then I could get my heart rate down, and proving to the doctors that no matter what you're telling me, I could still do all of the things. And I probably should have listened a little bit more, but I had some really amazing doctors that were like, you know what, you are still young, you are still healthy, keep living your life. And so I did. I continued to live my life. I went through other health challenges. I had my second son, who was born with a handful of different things and different challenges, and that kind of took a toll as well, but it taught me a lot about myself. It also taught me how to persevere a little bit harder, because of all the things that this little man had to go through to be where he is today. It taught me a lot about myself. And with my heart condition in 2000 and I think 18, I had a mini heart attack on my way to a business accelerator program. And I think about how it happened and when it happened, and it came out of nowhere. And thankfully, I was a mile away from the hospital. In hindsight, I should have stopped. I should have pulled over. I should have had an ambulance come and get me. My heart rate was over 200. And to be perfectly honest, I was scared I was going to die. So I kept driving, and I called Jim. I put him on speakerphone, and, he had no idea what was happening, but I had him on the phone with me. And, another fun traumatic event was that day. And I remember driving to the hospital. I parked my car. A cop almost hit me because they were trying to get out of a parking spot. And I remember parking my car, and telling this story it's almost surreal sometimes. So, the city that I lived in, the hospital was right down the street. Like I said, I was going to a business accelerator program. So like I was like dressed up. I was like, I've just started another business, like my first real big business. And so like I'm dressed up and, you know, ready for the day. And I get out of the car and I have him on speakerphone, and I can't breathe. I can't see. I start having double vision. But something unique happened to me in that moment. I started going into upper body paralysis, which meant from the waist up, everything froze, including my mouth and my hands. And I had my phone in my hand and it was like stuck in my hand. And I was stuck like this. And because I couldn't breathe and my heart rate was so high. And there happened to be firefighters over by the entrance. And I managed to get their attention. And he was on the phone. And and him screaming, she's having a heart attack, she has a heart condition. And going into this hospital, the nurse was yelling at me. She was telling me to shut up, to stop screaming. And she told another nurse to get Narcan. Now I was on heart medication, and with certain medications, Narcan can actually cause you to go into cardiac arrest. They do say it's soluble, but based off of the medication that I was taking at the time, it actually would have been very, very dangerous. And if Jim wasn't screaming on the phone, I something awful could have probably happened. And when they did the EKG, she walked out of the room and left me in a room by myself until my body started like decompressing. And they gave me, all the started giving me medication and stuff to kind of come back. But I remember in that moment, this woman screaming and yelling at me, like, here I am, I've gone through all of this drama already. I'm having a heart attack, and this woman yelling at me thinking that I'm a drug addict. And I remember when I got my voice back, and I started they gave me all the medication, and I remember screaming, who does this woman think she is? Like, she's like sitting here looking at me, calling me like a drug addict. And she came in and apologized after the fact, because she said because I was young and pretty, she assumed that I was ODing on heroin, because a majority of the people that come into the hospital are exactly that. And it was kind of in that moment I was like, oh shit, like, my life is, I've gone through a lot, and this is just another one of those trauma things to add to my list of things. But it also made me want to advocate a little bit more for my health, and advocate for women, and also target demographic. Like, you can be a super healthy and a pretty woman, and be dealing with health issues and not drug issues. But because I looked young and because I looked healthy, therefore that was a problem. And I just remember, I'm like, that's one more thing to add to the list of all of the things that why do all these things keep happening to me? And then I started changing my mentality after that. And I had my third son, not about a year and a half after that happened, and gone through some other traumatic things in the process as I kind of got to that. But I just remember after that, my mind started shifting. I started really thinking about all of the things that I have gone through. And like I said, they didn't happen to me, they happened for me. And all of the experiences led me to where I am today. That if I didn't go through all of these things, I wouldn't be the person sitting in front of you today. I wouldn't be able to say, I understand. I understand what it's like to be a people pleaser. I understand what it likes to go through abuse. I understand what it's like to go through very scary health problems. But yet I'm still here and I'm sitting in front of you. And this is just a small piece of all of the different little traumas that I have gone through. But we all go through them, and we think that we're alone. We think that we're alone when we go through all of these things. And a few years ago, I think it was the year I turned 40, I decided that I wanted to run the Boston Marathon again. But I decided that it wasn't for a pace. Like, it wasn't for a pace. I could honestly care less how long it took me to finish this marathon. But I finally, for the first time, said, I need to do this for me. I need to do something for me. I'm not running the marathon for anybody else other than myself, to prove to myself that we can go through all of these things, and someone can tell us that we can't do something, but we control our narrative. We control the things that we do. I tell my kids all the time, you can do anything that you want to do, and I'm proof. And I want my kids to see that you can go through all of this awful stuff, but there's always a workaround, right? If you want to do something, you can always do it. And running the Boston Marathon for the second time was me proving to myself that no matter what I've gone through, I can always overcome it. And it was when I turned 40, my life really started to change. And I stopped doing stuff for other people. I didn't run the marathon to say, hey, look what I did, because I ran it and it was great. And I did it for me. And it put me in a different place. It put me in a place that I'm finally validating myself. And I think it takes us so long to stop worrying about what other people think and start worrying about ourselves. And it was that year that everything started to change. And so when we come back, we're going to talk about the last few years of my life and how I got to where I am today and why I wake up with a different type of confidence. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.